Lisa, I just finished shopping, so can you please come pick me up from here? I'll be at the same cafe in front of the station. You know the one. So make absolutely sure to be there, okay?
Sorry, Miss Wilson. I don't think I can make it today. I'm visiting my mom right now at the hospital. Maybe in like 2 hours, I think, but I can't be sure. I'm sorry, I just can't go right now. We've talked about this before.
Listen, I bought a lot of things today, you understand? And I need you here as soon as possible. I can't just go home with my own with this much stuff, you know. You better be on your way soon, or else.
Can't you just grab a taxi for today? I really don't have the time to be dealing with this.
Don't be ridiculous, Lisa. How much do you think a taxi even cost? From here, all the way back to my home, it easily cost $50, you know. How? Well, you can get your miserable self over here from the hospital right now. That's how. God, you're some useless daughter-in-law. Why the hell did Michael marry someone like you, I wonder? You're a jobless housewife who's just dependent on others, and yet all you do is just take care of your sick mom all the time? You can't even earn any money, and you contribute absolutely nothing to your husband's family. You're literally a freeloader. Who the hell do you think you are acting like this? You married into our family. Try to get that through your thick head. We can't have you keep acting like you're some single cat lady, you hear me? Don't think you're the only one who's going through some difficult shit in life. Since I lost my husband, Michael's the only family I've got left, you know. Especially considering how incredibly useless you are in our household. A wife should always dedicate herself to her husband and his family's needs before anything else. That's just common sense. Besides, I heard that your mother's practically beyond saving anyways, isn't that right? She's got that terminal cancer, right? Why don't you just forget it already and come get me?
Even if that's true, which I'm not saying it is, I want my mother to be able to live for as long as she possibly can, you know? So I'd really appreciate it if you didn't say such insensitive and hurtful things about her.
I'm just merely stating the facts. The cold hard truth, aren't I? It's not like talking to those doctors is going to magically change any of that, is it now? Seriously, can you just please, for the love of God, drop it and come pick me up already? I'm freezing in this cafe here. They've got the AC turned way down and it's unbearable. What the hell? Lisa, don't you even think about leaving me here all alone. If you don't come and get me soon, I swear, I'll make sure Michael turns on you too when he gets home. Just ignore whatever's going on over there at that hospital and come pick me up this very instant.
Is that all Michael told you about what happened today? Didn't he tell you anything about why I had to leave so suddenly? My mother's actually in critical condition at this very moment. That's why I'm not home. That might be true, but it's still no reason to criticize me for not being able to prepare dinner just this one time.
Not this again, Lisa. Your mother doesn't have much to lose anyways at this point. Stop being so overly dramatic about it all. You should really learn to prioritize your husband's needs instead, you know. He's alive and well, unlike somebody else we both know. Are you his wife or not? Even still, what does she even do all day long aside from just wilting away on that hospital bed, honestly? Michael came back home from a long, hard day at work today, and yet, what does he come home to? No food on the table, nothing prepared for him at all. Don't you think that's just a little bit unfair to him? Clearly, in situations like this, he takes priority here over someone who's already basically on death's door. Wouldn't you agree?
Can't you, for once, be a little more considerate of my current situation here?
Hey, if I were in your mom's shoes, I'd much rather you just go home and make sure you serve your husband well, you know. I wouldn't even think for a single moment to rely on my own daughter, who's already married into someone else's family. You're such a selfish bitch, you know that? You neglect your basic duties back home, and all for what? Your dying mother? Seriously? And yet you still have the audacity, the nerve, to live off of my son's hard-earned salary without a care in the world. You're no different than some kind of parasite. That's honestly what you are.
I left the house in a hurry today, I admit, but I always do my absolute best to take care of the house properly. You have to believe me. You can ask Michael the same too, he'll tell you. Besides, I can't believe that you'd so easily dismiss my mother being in critical condition over something as trivial as a single meal. What does that say about you as a person, huh? What do you mean by that? Cheating? On me? So Michael was really cheating on me this whole time?
What? You didn't already know about it? Well then, there's really no reason for me to keep it a secret any further then, is there? But honestly, don't you think you kind of had this coming for a while already? You're someone who so blatantly neglect your duties back at home after all. Who else do you really have to blame for my son seeking some much-needed company and affection elsewhere?
We're married. It doesn't matter what the reason is. There's no reason, no justification for cheating. And Michael was already acting suspicious from even before we found out about my mother's cancer diagnosis.
Well, who really cares about the exact timeline anyways at this point? Thanks to my son's little affair, you got away for so long with neglecting your duties as a wife and just focusing on taking care of that mother of yours at the hospital. See? Everything just works out perfectly in the end, doesn't it? My son and I. Now, why on earth would you ever try to rope me into this whole mess that he created? My son's the one who's having the affair here, not me. Besides, you only got cheated on because you weren't fulfilling your part of the bargain as a wife. Wouldn't you say that's true?
I've honestly heard more than enough from you tonight. I'm going to be staying the night at the hospital again today, so don't you even think about contacting me again tonight, okay? I'll be turning my phone off completely too, so don't even bother trying.
Now hold on a minute, just wait a second. Are you really planning on not even cooking dinner for my son tonight? Even after all of this?
Michael's not a damn child anymore, you know? Clearly he's mature enough to go fooling around with other women. He can feed himself for one night. It won't kill him. And if you're so damn worried about it, how about you go over there yourself and cook something for him for once, huh?
How dare you say such disrespectful things to me? I simply can't believe the absolute nerve you have. Who do you think you even owe your current life to, huh? Answer me that. God, you really aren't fit to be a wife at all, through and through. I honestly hope your mother just bites the dust already and puts you both out of your misery. Lisa, are you still at the supermarket right now?
Yes, I am. Why do you ask?
I'm suddenly in the mood for some delicious pizza tonight. The perfect meal for someone moving into a new place, wouldn't you agree? So how about you go ahead and buy some on the way back home from the store for me? Oh, but make absolutely sure to get extra cheese on it for me, okay? And only get one that's straight out of the oven, nice and fresh. I guess you'll just have to wait a while for them to bake one from scratch for me then, won't you? Oh, I'm so incredibly sorry to put you through all that trouble, especially right after your mother's funeral and all. Goodness me, I really need to learn to read the room a little more, don't I? It seems like I've completely misread the situation here. But hey, it's not like you can just completely ignore me either, can you now? Especially with me moving in with you two lovebirds very soon. A wife should always listen to her mother-in-law. That's just how things work, you know.
Yes, I suppose that's true. You're quite right indeed. No objections here.
Oh, so you're finally starting to be a little more obedient and understanding now, are you? All thanks to your mother finally passing away, I imagine. Here I was, honestly expecting you to throw an absolute tantrum when I announced I'd be moving in with you two all of a sudden like this. But I'm just also pleased that you're actually being so welcoming and understanding about it all. Well, you better just get used to being my personal servant from now on then. You are completely jobless after all. Huh? Your last day? What the hell do you even mean by that? Don't try anything rash now, Lisa. What? Leaving? Why on earth would you ever do something so rash and foolish? Are you seriously telling me that you're going to divorce my son?
I can get a divorce whenever the hell I please, thank you very much. 55% of all marriages end in divorce these days anyway, you know? It's hardly uncommon.
I mean, that might statistically be true, but no one in their right mind would take a woman as utterly useless as you, even remotely seriously, just because you're now single and on your own. How on earth do you even plan on living all alone by yourself anyways?
Well, I'll just get a job and earn my own keep, that's all. It's not rocket science. Believe whatever you want to believe, Miss Wilson, but I happen to think that there are quite a few companies out there that would be more than willing to at least give me a chance at the very least. Besides, my old company actually used to commission me for some remote work while I was still married to your son every now and then. So I honestly doubt I'd have too much of a hard time rejoining the workforce in some capacity or another.
Even if that's somehow true, isn't it just far easier to continue being a housewife and letting Michael take care of you? There's absolutely no reason for you to go through all of this unnecessary trouble and hardship just to become some lonely divorcee with no prospects. Besides, if you leave, who's going to take care of Michael and keep the house clean and tidy for him? I only moved in here in the first place because I fully expected you to do all of that for him, you know?
I honestly don't know, and frankly, I don't really care at this point. Why don't you just ask Michael's side piece, that mistress of his, to do it all for him from now on? And to tell you the absolute truth, I never actually found my current life as a housewife easy at all, not in the slightest. Michael hasn't actually provided me with any living expenses at all for the last year now, believe it or not. I'm guessing he probably started cheating on me around that same time too, come to think of it. So for the past year, I've basically been living entirely off my own commissions and my savings from when I was still single and independent. Yeah, well, that was obviously just complete and utter bullshit. He was probably just feeding you a bunch of lies just to try and shift the blame onto me for everything that's happened. Besides, I bet he only even approved of you moving in with us in the first place so that I'd finally break down and just divorce him already. He was probably hoping I'd just get tired of all your constant nagging and harassing and want to get away from the both of you as quickly as possible. Clearly, he's just as twisted as you. I honestly doubt he wants to have to pay me some hefty compensation fee if we were to get officially divorced. Not that any of that's going to stop me from getting what I'm rightfully owed anyways. Thanks to you stupidly gloating to me about his affair the other day, I was able to get some private investigators to do some digging for me and gather enough evidence to prove his infidelity in court.
Wait a minute. Hold on just a second here. You didn't happen to mention my involvement in any of those investigators, did you, Lisa? Don't you dare do it. You can't. They'll both immediately turn on me and throw me under the bus if you tell them about my involvement in all of this.
I fail to see how any of that is even remotely my problem at this point. If you're so worried about your son's decisions, maybe you should have done a better job raising him. Well, then I suppose I'm going to go and buy that pizza you requested now. Don't you worry, I'll make sure to fulfill my very final duty as your so-called daughter-in-law before I leave this wretched place for good. How can I possibly help you now, Miss Wilson? I've already divorced your son, so...
So listen, my son's very, truly regretful for everything that he's done to you, Lisa. His partner was, well, a married woman, right? So in the end, she wasn't actually planning on getting divorced from her husband for Michael, it turns out. I've already explained all of this to you before, haven't I? The two of them had actually been secretly planning on getting married for quite a while now. Well, if you hadn't foolishly told her husband about the whole affair in the first place, he wouldn't have suddenly come storming in on them and caused such a massive scene. It was a whole big mess, and it's all thanks to you and your big mouth.
Is that so? Well, that's certainly news to me. It's almost like the compensation fee is doing exactly what its name suggests, doesn't it, Miss Wilson?
Listen, my son's truly, deeply regretful for having cheated on you like that, Lisa. He blames himself entirely for everything that's happened, and he really truly wishes you just come back to him and give him another chance.
What the actual hell are you two even going on about at this point? Why in the world would I ever even consider returning to the two of you, especially after everything you've both done to me?
Please, Lisa. You've simply got to hear him out at the very least. You've already got your lawyer to take care of all the legal matters, and you've blocked Michael on absolutely everything, right? He's been saying nonstop that he just wants to see you again so badly, even if it's just for a few minutes.
Well, I honestly don't have any desire whatsoever to see either of you ever again, so... Oh, actually, thanks for reminding me about that whole blocking thing. I need to go ahead and block your number on my phone, too, while I'm at it. I'd completely forgotten about it until now, so thanks for that, I guess. Do you really, truly understand the sheer gravity of everything that you've done to me up until now? You'd constantly insult my mother, especially about her terminal condition. You'd constantly demand me to prioritize your every little need over me spending whatever little precious time I had left with my own dying mother. Until just recently, you'd talk all that horrible shit to me and harass me day and night without a care in the world.
I'm really, truly sorry for all of that, Lisa, from the bottom of my heart.
We're honestly way beyond any kind of apology at this point, Miss Wilson. Besides, neither you nor Michael even bothered to show up for my mother's funeral. I mean, to be completely honest with you, I didn't really care all that much if you personally came or not. But the same can't be said for Michael, who just so happens to be my husband, can it now?
Yes, I suppose that's true. It's only natural, expected even, that a husband would attend such important matters, like his own mother-in-law's funeral.
And yet here you are, practically begging me to forgive such a cold-hearted and uncaring man. Do you really, truly understand what you're even asking of me right now? Did I ever do anything at all to offend you in the past? Ever? I honestly don't think I've ever done anything even remotely wrong to Michael either, for that matter. He's the one who hurt me so deeply, who blatantly cheated on me without a second thought. So what in the world gives you any right at all to even think about insulting me like this after all that's happened?
Well, no one's actually insulting you or anything like that, are they now? All we're doing is just politely asking you for a small favor. That's all.
That's exactly what I'd call insulting someone, Miss Wilson. If you two really, truly regretted all of your past actions and actually felt even a little bit bad for all the horrible things you've both done to me, you wouldn't even have the audacity, the sheer nerve to even consider asking me to come back to that awful household of yours. You're both completely and utterly delusional if you think I'd even consider that idea for a single second. What? You need my help? How so?
Ever since everyone found out about his dirty little affair, Michael's been completely unable to go to work anymore. They originally met as business partners first, right? So when the news of their affair got out, it became a huge, massive problem at his company. And he's become a total shut-in now, refusing to leave the house at all.
Is that so? Well, that's certainly unfortunate for him, isn't it?
And on top of all that, he's even started saying that he's going to quit his job altogether now. And the company told him that they wouldn't outright fire him, thankfully, but he's most definitely going to get permanently demoted because of this whole scandal. And because of that massive compensation fee he now has to pay, he's also in a huge amount of debt now too. He's completely lost the will to do anything at all anymore.
So what? What do you want me to do about any of that? Again, I fail to see how any of your son's problems are my problem in any way, shape, or form.
You did get your inheritance from your mother recently, didn't you? Do you think you could, maybe help us out a little bit with some of that money, perhaps? My pension simply isn't enough anymore to cover for all of our expenses, and...
You two really do take me for a complete and utter fool, don't you? I don't have a single red cent that I'm willing to give you or your disgraceful son, not after everything the two of you have put me through. To think you'd even try and get your grubby fingers on my mother's money of all things? Maybe I ought to unblock you two so I could beat some sense into you.
Lisa, please. I truly, deeply apologize for absolutely everything I've ever done to you up until now. If you'd just be willing to help us out, even just a little bit, I swear I'll do absolutely anything you ask of me. We really, truly don't have any money left right now. We're barely even making enough to pay for our rent each month at this point. Exactly, you understand, don't you? Every single day has become a living hell for us, and my son and I just can't seem to stop fighting with each other constantly. So have you finally come to your senses then? Are you finally willing to help us out of this mess after all, Lisa? So, you're really not going to help us at all then?
Of course I'm not going to help you, you absolute idiot. If anything, I'm honestly quite happy to hear that the two people who've tormented and abused me for so long are finally getting some of their own medicine. By all means, please continue to live your absolutely miserable lives together. You both deserve every single bit of suffering that comes your way.
We can't. We simply can't continue to live like this anymore. I was able to live so comfortably in the first place entirely because of my son's high salary. What the hell am I even supposed to do now that he's lost everything? Please, Lisa. No. Miss Lisa, I beg of you. Please, just lend us a little bit of that inheritance money. I'm begging you.
Nope, in your dreams. I won't give you a single cent. After all, I've honestly been thinking all this time that instead of my poor innocent mother, it really should have been the two of you who should have died instead. If you're not dead, no suffering is going to be enough to satisfy me. After that incredibly satisfying phone call, my ex-mother-in-law actually kept trying desperately to reach out to me for a while longer. But all she ever did was keep begging and pleading with me for money, so I eventually just blocked her number completely and cut off all ties with her for good. And as for Michael, well, he really did end up quitting his job and has now become a complete shut-in, doing absolutely nothing all day long except feeling sorry for himself. According to some of their neighbors, the two of them apparently fight like cats and dogs every single day now, constantly arguing over who should go out and get a job to support the two of them. I guess the apple really doesn't fall far from the tree in that family, does it? In fact, they're apparently so incredibly loud and obnoxious during their fights that they've been receiving countless noise complaints and warnings from their landlord lately. Since they're also barely even scraping by enough to pay their rent each month, it seems like it's only a matter of time before they're eventually evicted and kicked out onto the streets. Honestly, at this point, I can only hope that their lives will only continue to get worse from here on out. They both deserve it, in my opinion. As for me, well, I've since moved back into my mother's old home and have slowly begun the process of sorting out all of her belongings and dealing with her inheritance. I always had a sneaking suspicion that Michael was cheating on me, even from early on in our marriage, but back then, well, I honestly couldn't bring myself to care all that much about it, especially in comparison to taking care of my sick and dying mother. But thankfully, thanks to my incredibly stupid and spiteful ex-mother-in-law accidentally slipping up and revealing the truth to me that night, I was finally able to gain the resolve I needed to collect enough evidence of his infidelity and bring the whole nasty matter to trial. Looking back on it all now, I think I was mostly just absolutely terrified of the thought of becoming all alone in the world after my beloved mother had eventually passed away. I'm sure that I'll undoubtedly come across many more difficult challenges and obstacles in my life going forward, as we all do. But deep down, I know with absolute certainty that I'll always be able to overcome them, no matter what they may be, so long as I have my precious memories of my dear mother to help push me forward and give me strength. I'd definitely be lying if I said that I wasn't feeling incredibly lonely at times these days, but I'm determined to do my very best to always be honest with myself from now on, and to finally start treating myself with the love and respect that I truly deserve. I'm going to give it my absolute all in life from now on, so that my wonderful mother can finally rest in peace, knowing that her daughter is going to be okay.